grew up in Pullman, not too far from the Snake River, in the fields of the Palouse. I used to go down to the river with my dad all the time and my grandfather. But when I was a kid, the Corps came in and built a dam at Lower Granite, a part of the last bunch of dams. And I really didn't want them to do that. I worked on a lot of different things over the years, but the one thing that I worked on continuously was the Elwha.
Russ was in a unique position with the Elwha project because he was the legal representative for the tribe. And the tribe was just finding its voice.
The thing about the Elwha is that every kind of anadromous fish that's indigenous to the West Coast is in the Elwha River, including the really big Chinook, the hogs, like the Snake River hogs.
A wall was constructed in the river that fish couldn't get past. So what had been 49 miles of main stem river and probably 43 miles that were accessible to salmon, and all of the tributaries upstream of mile 4.9 were suddenly gone. It was like you just removed them.
I originally thought the dams were really small. I looked at the dams and I realized that they were really big dams.
In addition, the tribe was located at the mouth of the river, and so their livelihood, economy, culture was significantly affected by the presence of the dam. Russ was an expert at telling that story in legal terms so that other attorneys understood it and understood the power of that case.
When B. Charles got up to testify about the dam, she was so good that everything, you could hear a pin drop, and she would say, "I know, I saw them, I was there." And she's describing these big fish.
Through all of this, Russ Busch, as far as being the reference person, as being the institutional knowledge, as being the person who carried the thread all the way through, brought continuity to the project that without him, I don't know what would have happened.
Russ was the one steady element in this, the first big dam removal project in the United States, really, to go forward. He was the one person who really started out with the concept and stuck with the concept and managed to provide perspective for everybody.
I think he helped Lower Elwha be the little tribe that roared in the three major projects of Elwha dam removal and the Rainier cleanup and the Tweetson village site.
Rivers and the salmon in the rivers and the Indians for a long time had no standing to deal with this. In fact, when this dam was built, Indians weren't even citizens, and the idea of them suing anybody had never occurred to anybody. And so the river didn't really have a spokesperson any more than any other river in the Yakima and Tahitian and, you know, all those drainages over by Goose Prairie and elsewhere. They don't have a voice of their own. They need somebody else to speak up for them, and I did that. I became the spokesman for the river.
When people see the Elwha River free, without the dams, flowing. They could think of many people who helped make this happen. B. Charles, Bosco, George Bolstrom, and Russ.
She found her way through the bushes up here. My father had recently died, and she was in grief at that time. And she had done, a lot of horse packing with him back in the hills around here, between here and Chelan, and a bicycle. And it was a place that had memories for her after he died. And she came over, looked around for land where the children might want in the future, and she ended up with tracts of land. If she bought both sides of the river, thinking the ranch would be on the other side, and home would be on this side. Yes, it was because of Grand Coulee Dam. They were in a hurry to build it. It was really fast-tracked.
First thing they did when they built the Icicle River hatchery is to block this river to all fish passage. They also constructed a very large channel. It's like a giant ditch where they occasionally will move the Icicle River into this channel to help charge their groundwater wells, literally moving the river and dewatering the historical river channel at will.
Harriet had worked with some of her colleagues and neighbors to think about how to approach the fisheries people so that they might consider removing the dams. And the problem was vast because the government really did not want to remove those dams. But she was insistent that stream, as she knew it as a child, was pristine, and it had beautiful salmon runs and so forth, which were now foreshortened because of these sills.
The more conciliatory we became, the more the Fish and Wildlife Service seemed to dig in and not want to move, and not even want to provide just minimal fish passage. And finally, as one last show of our good faith as a partner in this effort, Harriet volunteered to remove 3 of the main structures in the historic channel.
And it was clear at the end of that meeting, they're not going to get the money. So they just said, sorry about that, $6 million is too much, which we agreed is ridiculously excessive. So then we thought, I wonder why they want to spend $6 million. I wonder if there are perhaps private contractors that might do it for less than what the government likes to spend on things. So we thought, well, there's nothing wrong with going around getting some bids. And we found a contractor. He gave us a bid for $228,000 instead of $6 million. So we thought, well, I guess we can probably handle that. And so he did it.
And after that, we came to the table, to the Fish and Wildlife, and we said, see, we're good partners. We're putting our money where our mouth is. So now, will you provide reasonable fish passage? And they said no.
Wild Fish Conservancy prepared a lawsuit. And when they heard about that, they opened the gates. And the river has been cleaning itself out in 2 years. It's amazing how suddenly it cleaned itself out. And it's beautiful now. They are determined not to let this river run. even though now it's the law.
When I think of Harriet as an advocate, it's for restoring this river. It's not something that she does. It is actually something she is. It is in her bones to do this work.
And that was an abandoned part of the river. The water wasn't allowed to flow there at all, hardly. It just was turning into a kind of a marsh. Now there's water flowing through there, and the service, Fish and Wildlife Service now, refers to it as the Miracle Mile. If you want to talk about Harriet leaving a legacy, she's already has left a legacy, having removed those structures. She may still be involved in removing 2 more dams. Once those are removed, then we will have connected the genetics of the lower river with the genetics of the upper river, and we will have tied together the ecology back together again. If we can do that, that's a legacy that she will leave. She will have repaired and made whole an ecology of the stream.
People coming and going, that's what the companies expect. That's what Chevron expected. That's what Northern Tier expected. That's what they all expect. WashDOT expected that. And we just hung in there.
And there's no passion as inflamed and as long-lasting as somebody's passion for their own home. And this place is an example of this river and this property. It's home, and people will go to great lengths for their home ground.
And earlier that morning, as we were waiting to go to testify, I asked Bea, "Aren't you nervous?" And she said, "No, I've waited all my life for this." And she actually had.
Anybody who has made these efforts know that you can't give up ever. And something that you think is going to be easy because it's so obvious, and this is right and that's wrong, and this should be a no-brainer. Give it a year or two. No, maybe 10 years, maybe 15, maybe 20 years. It takes a long time, and you have to hang in there and never, ever give up.
You have to stick in there. You have to stay.
You have to keep at it. And the successes are because somebody did keep at it, and because we have good lawyers.
Yeah, you never give up.